Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Patholkis, and this is Mr. Robot, Season 4, Episode 5, Method Not Allowed, or Error 405 for those of you guys out there, again, which is Method Not Allowed. Thanks everyone for who's joining me tonight. Uh, I know this is the East Coast viewing time, basically, is what that is. So it just finished on the East Coast. It's going to happen again on the West Coast at 10 p.m. my time, but that's too late for me. So let me take care of some business first. If you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, share, and subscribe. Also, um, if you want to know when I'm going live again next, you can hit the bell down below. If you've already hit the bell, don't hit it again. It will unclick the settings. Go into the bell settings. You can get as many or as little notifications as you want. You still only have a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you that I'm online. If you want to know when I'm going to be on, you can take a look at the schedule as Penn has just put up there at suspendedfanimation.com. I also put it up on my Facebook page, and I have a Facebook group page that you guys can actually go and chat and post things like that. I also have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, and a Patreon page as well. And of course, the neighbors are home, so Pepper needs to bark and get her little thing in there. Quiet. There we go. So, but the Patreon does not have tiers set up as of yet. Yes, one day there will be tiers. So, um, again, like I normally tell everyone here, if you're new to this thing, I do a little bit of a recap and then a review. So, and sometimes I intersperse the review within the recap too. So, with that said, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you've not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video you can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the new paddle. Yes. All right. So we had a lot of stuff here and a couple of homages too. We had a couple of homages to Die Hard. I want to say there was one to Friday After Next, which was the Christmas episode of Friday movies. And there was one more that I'm missing. I can't remember what it was now. I didn't write them down, but I'm pretty sure there was three different homages, but Die Hard being the main one, of course, with the opening um, music and things like that. And does anyone else have Silent Night stuck in their head? Because I sure do. But let's get started. So we see Elliot taking Tyrell's phone that has blood splattered on it. He takes the Dark Army guy's gun and burns the van. He basically, pours gasoline all over it. And this is the only time we see Mr. Robot in this episode, by the way, is he's looking over Elliot's shoulder as Elliot torches the van. There's no Mr. Robot in this entire episode. It's just Elliot and Darlene in this entire thing, which I kind of, yeah. Well, no, there was Ode to Joy first, and then there was Silent Night near the end. So the Silent Night was what got stuck in my head, was the stuff at the end there. Um, so Darlene, of course, is looking for Elliot. She sees the little thing on her phone. She's tracking him, and she sees the smoke coming up from the burning van. And she goes over there and finds him, of course, and he knocks on her window, gets in, and she drives away. And she goes, it's cool. You don't have to talk. We don't have to talk at all. And then she keeps driving on. Of course, he doesn't say shit to her whatsoever. Krista, in the meantime, is getting text from her new boyfriend Jason, because they're going to go meet her parents or her family, and he's of course very nervous about it. And she finally is like, "Well, you know what? Why don't we stay in?" She goes, "You want to stay in instead?" kind of thing. And of course, that was a big mistake on her part, but we know that she doesn't. Elliot gets back to the apartment, and he's printing out, the little cards, the ID cards, in order to get into virtual reality. And he goes over to the sink and just starts losing it because of everything that's happened with Tyrell and everything like that. And when he hears Darlene coming out of the bedroom, he kind of gets out of the bathroom. He kind of gets up and pulls himself together before she comes out. And we see she has a wig on and all this stuff, and she's looking kind of a little bit like Olivia, but not so much. Yeah. But of course, she isn't posing as Olivia. They've got a different ID card for her. Dom, in the meantime, is going to go to her mom. She's dumping prepackaged cookies into a Tupperware bin to pass off as her own, which I thought was kind of funny. And she gets a text from Janice, excuse me, telling her to go investigate the burned van. Price, in the meantime, is having dinner by himself at a posh restaurant, and it's just him and a family. And he's looking at the family on the side when the waiter comes by and unceremoniously just kind of drops off the check, but it's not a check. It's a printing that says he needs to go outside of Ecor and give the trombone player $20 outside of Ecor. So yeah. Darlene, in the meantime, goes to virtual reality, and she waits until exactly 11 o'clock when, because there's two guards. One guard leaves to go and do his rounds, and she goes in to the other guard, distracts him so that Elliot can run inside and hop over the turnstile and gets in, and the guard doesn't see him at all. The guard, by the way, is watching Die Hard, which was kind of funny. And Darlene has polished her phone a little bit so that when she leaves it there and turns to go and get inside, when she's using her card, of course, it doesn't work. And she finally, gets it to work because Elliot has run downstairs to the security office and has put in her ID into the system. But she had left her phone there, so the guard picks it up and he pushes his thumb against the screen so that they can use it, of course. And they end up going to one of the floors. And I thought this was kind of a novel use for a 3D printer. I never even thought about this, but they actually take his thumb, make a negative of it, scan that in, and then use that as a to 3D print his thumb in a concavity, so they can use the putty, silly putty, as a positive print of his thumb. It was pretty interesting, I thought. So yeah, um, I hope Mr. In Between is renewed so this interesting story can continue. Almost the opposite of Barry. Oh, interesting. I completely understood Dick at the end, but I didn't see it coming, at least not that way. Oh, okay. This is what people are uh, saying here in the chat. So just seeing what people were saying there for a second. Um, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, actually using a 3D printer in order to make a concavity and using silly putty or some kind of putty of some kind to make a positive print so you can use that on something. And that was very interesting, I thought. So we see Price, he ends up going over to Ecor. He gives the trombone player $20 and he gets a dry cleaning ticket in response to that. Um, Darlene and Elliot, of course, use the silly putty in order to get into the server room, is what they use. Dom, in the meantime, goes to the side of the burned van, and of course, she's not getting anything out of the cops at this point. So she's driving back, and she ends up at a stoplight, and she's just looking at it because she's out in the middle of nowhere. It's a stoplight, and she's like, "Fuck this." She decides to go through, and the lights go off. It's a camera light, and she gets out of the car and has an idea. Yeah. So she ends up going back over to the local PD office there, and she distracts one of the police officers by taking her phone and putting it in with the donuts and calling it, and then puts a splicer in, and then texts Janice and lets her know that they have access now to the police uh, database there, and she should look out for any red light runners. And then Dom gets a text that McGuire, remember McGuire from a couple episodes back that I said most likely is going to be very, very important? I just want to say, aha, because I'm fairly right about this, that McGuire is going to be important at some point in time. McGuire has been released. And yeah, Dom is interested in McGuire because he can make new IDs and give people new lives in different countries. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so Krista ends up going food shopping for Christmas, of course. And Elliot and Darlene, in the meantime, are inside the mainframe server room there, and they delete Dolores Hayes, which was Darlene's alter ego there from the database. And we see the guard. He enters the elevator and he notices an open panel in the elevator and decides to go up and check. So Um, he makes it up there to the ninth floor, and then he checks the security logs to see who entered the server room last, and he sees that he has entered the server room last and fairly recently. And he texts his buddy downstairs and says, "Hey, I think someone's in the server room. Call the cops." In the meantime, Elliot and Darlene are in there, hacking the system as fast as they can, and they're hiding as the guy is walking through the halls, walking back and forth, and they're running out of time. So Elliot had actually set the server to do an update, a server update. So it turned off all the cameras, all the security cameras, and everything. So their time is running out. The update is almost done. The cameras are going to turn back on. The guard is right on top of them. And Elliot looks up and sees the line that all the security stuff is on. And he sees what company it is. And he hacks into that company and sets off the alarm and turns off the lights inside the server room. So the guard has his flashlight and he's still looking around and everything. And they end up hiding inside one of the server closets. And Darlene is still working on stuff at this point. And he finally, passes by them. And when he comes back around again to an open terminal, they've already split and they're running down the stairwell at this point. They get into the lobby just to see the police arrive, and the guards arrive as well. And because they come down the elevator, actually, they missed one of the guards coming up the elevator by running into the stairwell. And then they both come down to the lobby, and uh, one of the guards, of course, the guard whose thumbprint they took, ends up seeing Elliot in the behind the door with the little glass there, and he's trying to get in, and of course, Elliot's holding the door. He doesn't see Darlene, of course, and Elliot pushes the door open, knocks him down, and makes a run for it, and goes outside the building and starts hauling ass, running down the middle of the street. I mean, just literally running down the middle of the street, dodging cars and all kinds of stuff like that. And, I mean, he runs through Central Park. He runs through, the ice rink. He's running through everything, every part of the facility. In the meantime, Darlene is trapped in the building by the cameras because the cameras are on. And then she sees some clothing and some water and she gets an idea. And she's dressed in gym clothes and pretends she sees the guards and the cops are talking in the lobby. She kind of walks out the door slowly and then goes to the gym that is right next door, right next to the lobby there, and pretends that she's coming out of the gym, that she's just been working out. She's removed the wig now at this point too, and just walks slowly out the door. In the meantime, Elliot is still hauling ass. He's getting hurt, running down hills, falling down hills, all this kind of stuff, and he finally makes it to a bus and gets away. Darlene makes it out to her car and looks on her phone and sees where he's at. And of course, it's going to go and get him at this point. And Elliot is on a bus full of people dressed in nativity scene clothing. And we see the cops come hauling ass down and they cut off the bus, stop it. He runs to the back. Jimmy's opened the door and just starts running at, hauling ass again down the street. Yeah, it is the most running I've seen outside of a Tom Cruise movie, too. Although that's all Tom Cruise movies are now. It's just him running for 45 uh, hours. And he ends up getting hit by a bus. I mean, not by a bus, excuse me, by a van. And that, where he gets hit by the van, that actually kind of reminded me of Friday After Next when the skinny Santa ends up getting hit by the car and gets knocked out. And he gets knocked out and he's down on the ground for a couple of seconds and he wakes up, comes to, he shakes it off and he gets up and he starts limping. And again, this is like the skinny Santa from Friday After Next. That's why it reminded me of it so much. And he's at a railing and he looks over the railing, looks back. Cops are coming at him from both sides, got nowhere to go. Then he looks back over the railing again and he jumps over the railing. And we see him fall down. It's almost like a cliff is what it's a grad not even a gradual cliff. I mean, it's gotta be like a 10-degree incline at this point, and he rolls down the hill to a waiting car with Darlene in it, and she drives away, and he's breathing hard, and he reaches over and grabs Darlene's hand. So Price, in the meantime, opens up the dry cleaning to see a ticket to the Brentano, which at 9 p.m. And he texts Elliot for the location of the meeting, so he knows where Dias is going to meet at. And this was Tyrell Wellick's last gift, if you will, to him, because that was Tyrell's dry cleaning. Dom, in the meantime, arrives at her mom's house and she goes out to go walk the dog, and she sees Dark Army vans parked outside, and she notes their location. And when she gets back, she writes them down. And she returns, and we see that the TV is full of news of Elliot's rampage through Central Park. And Janice ends up texting her with a pic of Darlene and Elliot in the car and says, "This is your new target. Get to it. Chop, chop." Yeah. And then we see Krista coming home, and she sees a woman across the street, and she drops her bag of groceries, and something rolls out. And who's there to pick it up but our old friend Vera? And that's where we leave off the episode. So, pretty good chase episode. It really didn't move any of the I mean, it did move the story along a little bit, but we didn't get like a whole bunch of exposition on this. This is episode 5, again out of 13. So we are uh almost halfway through here, and it's Christmas Day. It's all supposed to take place on Christmas week, which is good. And I'm okay with this, to tell you the truth. I like this episode. This episode was fast paced and nail biting, if you will, and we got a little bit of forward movement, but it didn't need a lot. And that was okay, quite honestly. I want more Right Rose, of course, because BD Wong is fucking awesome. But yeah, it was good. I mean, we finally got in. We got them to break into Cyprus National Bank. We got them through the back door, all that kind of stuff. So now that Ellie can put his plan into place. He almost got caught. He got fucked up pretty badly. He repaired his relationship with Darlene, it looks like, a little bit. And no, this episode was not 90 minutes. It was just an hour. That's all it was. So it felt like it because of everything that was going on so quickly. Yeah, that's what was missing this week. White Rose and Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot was only in it in the very beginning when they're burning the van. He doesn't say anything at all. We had no voiceovers, if you notice as well. So I don't know what's going on with that. He's hit his head a couple of times too. Once when he was coming down the hill in Central Park, he whacks his head into one of the trees. Actually, he grabs his head, and then he hits his head again when the van hits him because he goes down to the pavement. And I'm wondering if that's going to have anything to do with everything that's going on in his head or not. But yeah, and like I said, McGuire is back, and McGuire is going to be a big part of this. I'm fairly sure he is the key to Dom getting free of the Dark Army. So yeah, I'm okay with this episode. It was very, very good. Joe Greer says, "I hate the Verge isn't doing the show after like the previous season. The guests and the panels really helped on the hack and some of the show content." Oh, I thought they were doing it. I thought they were only doing it online, is what they're doing it. They're not broadcasting it anymore. So, uh, Penn Farm Girl says, "I still wanted them to check on Tyrell. I wanted to know what the blue light was at the end of last week's episode." Yeah, he walked off into the woods. We don't know what happened. So maybe whacking his head corrected his problems. Who knows? Like Fred Flintstone, you mean, where you keep whacking him in the head until he goes back to becoming Fred Flintstone instead of Frederico? I forget the name is, Frederico something or other. Mikey Stroh says the use of camera made this episode work. Lots of long zooming pans. Yeah, and fish eyes too, Mikey. There was a lot of fish eyes that were going on to get some weird angles and things like that. Uh, Looking like security camera lenses. It was pretty good. I agree with you, Mikey, and also the sounds too. I was watching it through the computer, but it does try to mimic a little bit of surround sound on my computer here. And when the card is printing out and he is freaking out, and you're having that loud kind of sound from the printer going on, and it was kind of like he was having a little bit of that happening in his brain, like it was trying to process something, and that's what was nice about it too. They did a nice job with the sound. Irene Harlablat Harlablatos. Sorry, I'm gonna murder your last name. My heart is still pounding, is what she says. Nice, yeah. It was a good, very good thing. Whack, I can see. Whack, I'm blind, but I can't hear. Whack, who am I exactly? Yeah. So definitely looking forward to next week because Vera now has Krista, and is Elliot really gonna give a shit at this point? Or is yeah, the lack of dialogue was interesting too. I noticed that as well. No dialogue in a good majority of this episode is and that was kind of interesting too. Um, I've said this before in one of my other segments that I do called "Is It Worth My Time?" And I was talking about Primal, which is Gennady Tartakovsky's animated show on Adult Swim, which has no dialogue whatsoever. It's mainly grunts and groans and stuff like that, and it works. If you can tell a story without having to put a lot of words into things, even when Darlene, her card isn't working, there is no talking between her and the guard. If you notice, it's just her going up to him, and then Elliot runs in, and then him checking on the screen to see what's going on. He hands back her card, no talking whatsoever again. Even when he picks up her phone, he whistles to her to show her that she left her phone there. He doesn't say hey or anything like that. The guards don't even talk to each other, they text each other. Price doesn't say anything to the trombone player. Dom doesn't say anything to the police. Janice doesn't talk. Everything's through texting, and everything is through action. We had no dialogue really in this, except for Darlene. Darlene's the only one who actually talks, if I remember correctly. Thinking back on this now, which is interesting. Off topic. Did you see the movie Time Code? No, I haven't. Joker. Similar to when Angela did the building hack last season. Yeah, it was similar to that building hack too that Angela did. But yeah, that was fairly interesting that they did another one of these without any dialogue, and it works so well. And the thing is, you don't miss that dialogue as long as you have uh, that action of what's happening. I mean, it's a show don't tell kind of thing. Exactly, no dialogue, but well done. I agree with you. That is what you want to see in quality programming when you can tell a story without having to, you know, beat it to death with dialogue. So yeah, next week we get Vera coming in, and like I said, I don't know if Elliot's gonna really give a shit that he's got her or not. He might have some newfound humanity. We don't know what's going on. So yeah, it'll be interesting. The camera and music do the talking, exactly, Mikey. So, what I got going on right after this at 9:15 p.m., I've got Watchmen episode 3 going on. And yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one to go through. Very interesting. Tomorrow is going to be His Dark Materials. It's the premiere of His Dark Materials. Excuse me. Tuesday is going to be Is It Worth My Time? And it's going to be this little movie that I saw on Amazon Prime called The History of Time Travel. I believe that one is worth talking about, quite honestly. So that's going to be that one. Wednesday, I'm going to be off. Thursday, I'm going to be off as well. And Friday is going to be Titans. Saturday is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off. Then we come right back around the horn again and start all over again. And next week we have The Mandalorian going on the 12th. Yeah. So, yeah, the score is always an important character. Sound is very important. If you look at Legion, go back and watch Legion. Legion, the sound is king in that thing. Without the sound in it, the way they engineered the sound, it wouldn't work, quite honestly, as well. I mean, yeah, the visuals, the graphics, and the story are really good, but the sound made that quite a bit. And the same thing with Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot does the same thing. Yeah. It's a marvelous episode of The Watchmen's. Is that what you said, EJR? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what I say about it. I'm still mulling over some stuff and digesting some stuff, shall we say? That's what the bromo's for. Um, yeah, I hope you guys all enjoy. So, what would I give this out of 10? I would give this one at least a solid 8 on this one. Maybe an 8.5, maybe even a 9. I would say an 8. 8. Yeah, it's a solid 8 actually. I'm gonna go with an 8 on that one. Um, yeah, it was good. Like I said, the way they did this one, I liked it, and I'm disappointed that we're having the last season, like I said, but at the same time, they're going out on their own accord, and that's what's nice about it. It's a show you have to rewatch a couple of times for you to have the time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's a 10 of 10 then? Ooh, wow. I would say that first episode, Irene. Quite honestly. I mean, opening up the gate with, killing Angela the way they did, and then just going full bore into it. You remember we're only 5 episodes in out of 13, and it feels like we've already gone through an entire season so far, quite honestly. It's not skimping on any of the content, which is good. None of these episodes have been filler episodes. None of them have wasted any time, none of our time, none of the characters' time. It's actually doing justice to this, quite honestly. And that's what you want to see. You don't want someone, especially a creator of their own series and things like that, wasting their time with filler episodes just because they've got a 13 episode agreement and they've only got enough material for 8. And so, of course, they're going to play it out. But yeah, yeah, exactly, Irene. I wasn't expecting that either. Well, when she turned around and when she started talking about, what was happening, that she wasn't gonna run, I was like, "Oh shit, they're gonna fucking kill her." And that's yeah, that's kind of what made me and then when I realized that they shot the end of season 3 and the beginning of season 4 2 years apart and it looks seamless, that made me even more so just appreciate what they've done with this series and how they could actually do that. Um, because yeah, that was just fucking amazing, quite honestly. They did a great job of that. So yeah, that would be a 10 out of 10 for me as that first episode. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna start wrapping things up here because I got another podcast I got to set up for, and at 9:15. So I want to give myself at least half an hour to here to brush away some gnats there that are flying across my screen and get some water in me and all that kind of good stuff. So for those of you who are interested, 9:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, my time, Watchmen, season 1, episode 3 is what I'm doing. And until then, thank you everybody who joined me tonight in the chat. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about joining up, take a look. There's going to be a video that pops up here that is going to take a video from my vast video library and pop it up there just for you. And up here is going to be Saturday morning blast off, is what's going to happen there. Also, like, share, and subscribe. Take a look at the schedule up on suspendedfanimation.com. It's all up there. And also my Facebook page. And I have a Twitter and Instagram, and I have a Patreon page as well. All right. Yes, I am going to take my pants off too and get comfortable. Um, well, the underwear anyway, because right now it's never mind. Too much information that you don't need to know. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, hopefully we get up to 500 subs. I mean, it's going there. It's like 444, I believe, right now is where I left off. So, definitely, getting up there. Thank you, everybody who subscribed, and come on into the chat. You know, it's always good to have more people in the chat. Thanks, everybody. See you in about half an hour. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may find Vera at your doorstep, and quite honestly, you really don't want to have that happen. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you in a little bit.